Hey everyone, welcome to the Political Blowback podcast. We are so glad that you could join us today. And the first thing I'd like to share with everybody, and especially with those people who are joining us for the first time, I am not a journalist. I am not pretending to be a journalist. There are a plethora of people, both on YouTube and in the mainstream press, that do an absolute phenomenal job at reporting the news. When I put this podcast together, it occurred to me that by the time people go to YouTube, they've probably already heard the headlines, and already, for the most part, they probably know what's been going on in headline news, and perhaps they're looking for additional insights into those news events. And that's what my goal is here, is I try to analyze and unpack the news and offer some perspectives on the news that perhaps some people haven't thought of. And I'd like to share that with people. So that's the premise of the podcast. Now, for starters, I'd like you to imagine a neighborhood in the United States of America, regardless of where it is. And you see somebody who lives in the neighborhood, and perhaps you don't know them well, perhaps you do, but always courteous, always waving, and hi, how are you today? And the assumption is that this is just another person who's living in our neighborhood, and probably a hardworking person. And then suddenly the Department of Homeland Security, or ICE, shows up, and that person is accosted, put in a car, and driven away. And the next thing you know, there is no due process. The person is not consulting a lawyer. The person is not advised as to specifically what the charges are in the context of a fair trial, and the opportunity to contact a lawyer and to for that person to seek recourse through the conventional system. This is frightening to me. This is shocking. And what this means is that, if you think about it, has America reached a point now where every person that is walking inside the country can suddenly be accosted by the Department of Homeland Security, or ICE, simply because they got a tip from somebody who called up and said, Mr. Garcia, he is a member of the MS-13 gang. And so suddenly it becomes like a drive-through at Burger King. Let's go pick them up. Let's get them out of the country. Boom, they're gone. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, yeah, wait a minute. Maybe there's evidence. Okay, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But the way that you discover that is through adequate due process, where that person is entitled to contact a lawyer. That person is entitled to a fair trial and a fair hearing, with a clear understanding of what the charges are and what the evidence is. This did not happen in the case of Mr. Garcia. He was simply whisked away and deported to El Salvador and put into a prison, even though a district court judge said, no, you should not be deporting Mr. Garcia. Hold on. They went ahead and did it anyways. What does this say about the Trump administration? And perhaps more egregiously, the Trump administration, or perhaps Donald Trump himself, has flipped the bird to the Supreme Court that had a 9-0 decision that explicitly told the Trump administration, as well as Donald Trump, that you have to bring him back. To my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, but nobody at the White House contacted the El Salvadorian president and requested that he be returned. I find that horrific. You know, are we arriving at a place where anybody can pick up the phone and say, yeah, that Jim Thompson that lives on my street, yeah, he's part of a Mexican cartel. No problem, we'll go get him. And away he goes. Next thing you know, he's in an El Salvadorian jail. That is scary. And every citizen in the free world should be alarmed. And when I say alarmed, I'm not talking about a small fire behind your garage that happened accidentally. I'm talking a 5-alarm fire. That's where we're at with this. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, this week also, it was reported that Bill Maher, who of course is an HBO TV personality, and I believe he's doing something on CNN now as well. Bill Maher has been, over the past decade, exceedingly critical of Donald Trump. That's no secret. And personally, I believe for good reason, for many good reason. Now, apparently, Kid Rock got in touch with Bill Maher and invited him to have dinner with Donald Trump at the White House. And purportedly that had occurred on March the 31st. Now, if I was Bill Maher, the first thing that would fire through my head is, what's he want from me? He knows that I stand diametrically opposed to how he handles the issues, and I have stood consistently as diametrically opposed to his actions and his words. And I have routinely gone on national television and stood up very courageously to speak out against this person. So the first question Bill Maher should have asked is, what does he want with me? And that's not a point of being cynical. That is a point of being a realist. What does Donald Trump want with me? Let's look at what happened during that dinner. Bill Maher purportedly has said, and I watched the interview, he said, well, it was a nice, pleasant experience. He smiled a lot. There was nothing contentious. He asked me for my opinion, and my opinion now has changed, and I'm going to say F Democrats. That's my new posture, because I spent 2.5 hours with the President of the United States, and he came across as being a nice guy. Did it ever occur to Bill Maher that it's quite possible that Donald Trump's handlers, who were watching his popularity starting to decline, said, I need some political capital in the media, and so I'm going to invite Bill Maher to the White House. I'm going to have dinner with him, and I'm going to show him that I'm a nice guy. And my goal is to have him buy into that and then go on national television and tell everybody that he's flipped and changed his mind. So everything that Donald Trump has done over the past 10 years, every egregious thing that he said, the insurrection where people actually died, and Donald Trump, arguably, and I conclusively, in my opinion, he had a lot to do with that insurrection. There's no question in my mind. And people died. And he's disparaged people, and he's insulted people. He's disparaged the press. He's kicked parts of the mainstream press out of the White House press corps so that he can only have friendly people asking him questions that are softball questions. I mean, does Bill Maher ever ask himself, what, did Donald Trump take a pill? Does this absolve him of every egregious thing that he did? The answer is no. But now the question needs to become this. What happened inside that meeting? I mean, Bill Maher's not a stupid guy. He's a smart guy. He's a savvy guy. And my guess is that when he went into that meeting, it would not be beyond believability for Donald Trump to use some mechanism of leverage. Perhaps it's something inside of Bill Maher's past. Perhaps it's a little political pressure that may affect his job. I don't really know. I'm spitballing. I'm just throwing that out there. But this is something that people should think about, because a 2.5-hour dinner in the face of everything that Donald Trump has said and done in the past doesn't cut it. I'm sorry. He didn't take a pill and become a nice guy all of a sudden, regardless of the optics that Bill Maher had experienced. I'm also, I'm taking in this situation with what has happened in the Ukraine on Palm Sunday past, where there was a bombing on that Sunday that killed at least 34 people and 171 people were injured. This is vintage Vladimir Putin. Palm Sunday, a holy day, a day of peace, and he indiscriminately bombed innocent civilian people like he's done so many times before. And what is Donald Trump's reaction to that? It was a mistake. We got to end the war. It was a mistake. Mr. Trump, you're president of the free world. It's not beyond your scope, and it's certainly not beyond you to have some moral fortitude and at least make a statement condemning the bombing of innocent civilians. Or are we at a point now where anything goes? When people get slaughtered, the President of the United States and every other world leader goes, yeah, sorry about your luck. I'll rub your neck, write you a check. I mean, that's just insane. And what was Donald Trump's response to this? A mistake. Is Donald Trump now proving one more time that he is an apologist for Vladimir Putin? It certainly seems that way, doesn't it? I'd like to ask you for your help. We are a brand new podcast here. We're just getting started on YouTube, and we can't really make this a success without people who give us a little bit of support. We're not asking for money here. We're asking for some support and encouragement. So please help us by clicking that subscribe button and give us a like if you like what you're seeing. Maybe give us a like even if you didn't like what you're seeing. Anyways, this is a blast sharing some muses with you and some perspectives on the news. And we'll see you next time right here on this podcast. Have a great day.